So we've got the microphone in a different spot today, guys, so let me know if you can or can't hear me, or if we need to move it and so on. And we're in a new spot in general. I have set up a little office space myself rather than recording in the kitchen, so it might be a little bit nicer. Just waiting for a couple more people to funnel in, because we're a little bit early still, but happy Friday.
How was your session the other night, Apocalyptic Moth? Didn't they have to leave to play their game?
Oh, someone did.
I think it was Apocalyptic Moth. Was that you? Cool, we've got Ethan and DM and Taurus.
Oh, nice. Nice to see you guys. So today we are going to be making magic items. I put the feelers out there on the internet, on Instagram, Patreon, and on YouTube as well. And again, you guys are never quiet about the option that you want to see. There's always a runaway winner, and this time it has been magic items. So we're going to return to the magic item workshop, something that's been heavily requested and something that I have been desperate to get back to, but I spend so much time doing Monster Mondays that I haven't been able to do many of them. So maybe this could be a bit more of a regular thing, even after we're all out of isolation. I could do some live streams of magic items for you guys. So yeah, I'm going to be drawing magic items, which we could either homebrew as a group is one option, or if you have particular favourites, you could pick your favourite magic item. I have all of my D&D books right next to me because we are in my lush, new, freshly painted office space that I've made for myself. I say that, I didn't do like plastering or anything like that, you know what I mean. It's a new office space in my house, because I do most of my work from home. So, yeah, if you have a particular favourite magic item or an idea for a magic item, we could go from there. One thing is though, obviously with the new setup, my microphone, which is usually like right here, so you can hear me very well, is in between Yvonne and I. So just let me know if you can or can't hear either of us, both of us, and I'll reposition the microphone. Hopefully we may have figured out the little Dalek voice thing that was going on last time. I think there was 2 audio recording devices happening. My computer was maybe recording audio as well. Anything else before we get started? I can't remember.
No, just some chat going on here.
Yes.
Apocalyptic Moth said that they had to improvise an entire menu of tea, local alcohols and desserts for their tavern in their session the other night.
That's really cool. I have a really, really exciting one of these videos that I'm desperate to do with you guys, which is another lore video where you can help me do some world building, because I want to build a city map for my like the kind of capital city, and hopefully together we could like populate where the shops are and like what they might sell and who might operate them and things, but I need to actually draw that map first. So I'm hoping to do that in the next couple of days, and then maybe we could do another lore stream and come up with some ideas for who's in them. Maybe even you guys, if you have some like character names, or if your name sounds like D&D enough, we could like have you guys be the people who operate those shops or whatever. I don't know. But today we're going to be doing magic items. So.
Yep. Jurassic Show.
Yorick.
Yorick says that your hair is giving him Emo Peter flashbacks.
Emo Peter. I don't know Emo Peter. I definitely get like emo for sure. I got bored today and straightened it for the first time since I was like 15. Doing my edgy teenage D&D character yesterday day before yesterday, made me realise how fun it is to be a little edgy teenager. So I thought I would relive some of my youth and straighten my hair again today.
Mary is back. Hi, Mary.
Nice to see you, Mary.
Dino Wookie as well. And Yorick is straight in with a few suggestions.
The Scythe of Death? I'm sorry, I'm just reading the comments over your shoulder.
Yeah, Scythe of Death, the Scales of Famine, the Bow and Arrow of Pestilence, and the Sword of War.
So you've listened to my whole devil thing, haven't you? And that is now, those are going to be canon artifacts in my D&D campaign for sure already. That's so badass. I love that. The Scythe of Death. Yes. I love that so much. Magic items. Whoop whoop. Yeah. Can you hear us both okay? Just give us a yes or a no in the comments as well, just so we can move that before we start.
Dino Wookie likes your edgy emo look.
Thank you, Dino Wookie. I feel fabulous.
Oh, are we going to make a catapult of rabid bunnies?
A catapult of rabid bunnies?
Yeah.
I mean, if everyone wants us to do that, we can do.
Mary says, I have a ridiculously overpowered artifact known as the Eye of Ungit. This is a magic opal that's the size and diameter of a softball.
Ooh, very cool.
Like,
very, very cool.
We'll wait and see what that does.
Is there a way to put a poll in the comments to see if we could find a unanimous answer that we're all up for?
Oh, I'm a bit quiet, but they can hear me fine.
Okay.
That's good. Apocalyptic Moth says, pretty soon I'm going to be introducing a sword to my game that is guarded by a bound spectator, kind of beholderkin.
Mm-hmm.
The sword causes wounds that can never be closed unless by magical means. That's pretty cool.
That's devious.
And York's got a few more dark suggestions for us. The Realm Casket.
Realm Casket, yeah.
And the Orb of Paths,
Ooh.
which sounds slightly less sinister than the other ones.
It does. I mean, so as much as I want to draw the Scythe of Death, I feel like that's kind of out because I drew a scythe the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanna do something else. Actually, yeah. Okay, so this can be one. Are we drawing an item of clothing or armor? Are we drawing a weapon? Or are we drawing a miscellaneous magic item? Just give me a response to one of those.
Mary's continuing. The opal's main power is regeneration. Not only that, but complete restoration to come to... Oh, dear. Sorry, guys. I'm going to start that again. But complete restoration to when one was at their most healthy.
Ooh.
And in their prime. Okay, so
That's
it would even
really
change
cool.
their age.
Wow, that's amazing.
Gosh, when do you think it would take you back to being in your prime?
My prime. I would say before we got chubby and happy and this kind of stuff. We fell in love, and then she discovered that I could cook, and I really liked impressing her with my cooking, so we put on a few pounds.
Yeah.
So probably
DM Entors says, I made a meme item called the Ball of Advising, a crystal ball with runes that move to resemble a happy face, and once per day will tell 3 pieces of info, some useful or some random garbage.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yorick's looking for weapons.
Okay, weapons.
Dino Lookie's looking for weapons.
Right.
DM says option C, but I bet you've forgotten which one you said.
Option C was a miscellaneous magic item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apocalyptic Moth says, maybe the removed eye of an aboleth in a bottle.
Ooh.
This could be used to communicate with the eye's owner.
Ooh.
Ethan says you should do the Necronomicon.
Ooh, that would be very cool.
Hi Ace, thanks for joining us. And ES Laval is back. They like the idea of an item of clothing because fancy fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan says miscellaneous magic item.
Oh, so we've got 2. Come on, guys, we've got 2 for each now. That's not helpful.
Mary's saying, as long as the gem is out, the effect keeps beings from dying or taking physical damage. It works like a 10-yard, works in a 10-yard radius around around the wielder.
Ooh, very, very cool.
Sorry guys, my reading's a bit off.
That's right. We're having some spicy sodas and spicy apple juice, so the reading might be a little bit yeah. It's Friday. Come on, we can't go out, but we can still enjoy spicy apple juice.
Hi Jack, thanks for joining us. Let us know what you would like us or like Josh to draw.
Yeah. So we're pretty evenly divided. Yvonne, what do you think? Can you be our deciding vote?
Well, I think we should go weapons.
All right, weapons. Okay, right. So that's a third vote for weapons. So I don't know how long this can take. We might end up doing a few of them. So we've had weapon suggestions. Should we do some of these like ancient mega weapons that Yorick suggested?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we had the Scythe of Death, and I did a scythe recently, so maybe not that.
Let me just look back and have a look.
We had the Scales of Pestilence.
Scales of Famine.
Scales of Famine, right.
The bow and arrow of pestilence and the sword of war.
Right, so I'm really bad at drawing bows, so I'm going to say Sword of War.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, a Sword of War. I think that's going to be a big, chunky boy.
So, Apocalyptic Moth is a suggestion. A
Okay.
legendary sword that kills everything it touches. The player reaches out, grips the... Is it ebony handle, I think, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
Just look them in the eye and slide an empty character sheet across the table.
No way! That's such
that's
a cool
cool.
idea! That's such a cool idea. Maybe that's... Oh, man. I feel like that's what the Scythe of Death does. You know? Like, it just kills you. You know... I love that idea for a sword, though. Something that looks innocuous enough that you would want to touch it. Oh, man, that's such a cool idea. I feel like my players would hate me if I put that in.
Yeah, because you know we would just straight away all pick it up.
Yeah.
One after the other. And
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Jack says a Vorpal sword.
Ooh, a Vorpal sword's a cool idea as well. I'm so bad at making decisions. I want to draw all this stuff. Should we, right, what do you reckon? Sword of War or Vorpal sword?
Do you want to roll for it?
I do want to roll for it, yeah.
Why not?
Where are all my dice, actually?
They're just on the other side.
Just on the other side of that. Would you,
Oh,
you
grab
would
that.
thank you. You know what I'm saying?
You see me take out the new studio.
That's the Wi-Fi router. Don't move that, otherwise we're going to get a very short stream. Ooh, oh yeah, oh yeah. Right.
Do you need the other ones?
No, it's cool. I can do a D6 here. Let's get a nice multicolored one. Very pretty. The prettier the color of the dice, the more evenly it rolls, right? That's how science works. I'm pretty sure.
A couple of other things here.
Mm-hmm.
Cloak of Displacement.
Ooh. I really want to draw on this.
Flame Tongue.
Flame to oh yes, that's like a staple D&D weapon that you guys have never had. Flame archetypal like flaming sword, so cool.
Okay, so Yorick says he imagined it as being too long to be a short sword and too short to be a long sword. This is super precise.
Nice, I like that. All right, okay. So why don't we do a right, a D3 then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could do 1 to 2 is the Sword of War. 2 to 3 is the Vorpal Sword, and 5 to 6 is Flame Tongue.
You for it.
Yeah. Okay. It is a flat 1. We are doing the Sword of War. So there we go.
Nice.
Right, so in my head, like I'm trying not to just draw the Darksider's sword that War himself had in the Joe Mad comics, but I'm thinking. So this is a. If we're going by my own lore, right? This is a devil-based sword, right? So it's got to look pretty epic. I imagine it's very chunky. Yeah, I think we can start from there. Oh boy, okay. I pulled up a few like reference pics on Pinterest there, so I'm gonna go full on.
Jack says, in my campaign we have a sentient sword called Fate Ender, which can give the wielder a crit once per day, but each time the wielder uses it, they get a permanent -1 to death saving throws.
That's a cool idea.
It's a good concept. I like that.
Cool. Alright, okay. This is gonna be a big chunky sword. Right. Okay. Right.
DM says it has a label that simply says belongs to Jacob War, and it's a normal sword.
Belongs to Jacob. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a totally like not even a +1 weapon, but it's just an unfortunate surname. That's fantastic. I love that. Right. Also trying not to just draw Frostmourne as well. Right, okay, so let's do so I'm pulling up some image references here so I can find an appropriately chunky blade to have an idea of what I'm going to do.
So does anyone have any games on tonight?
Yeah, what are we all playing? And are you still meeting with your pals? So I'm going to go for like one of those little Urukai spike things here. I saw a video the other day about I can't remember the name of the channel, but there's this guy who does like medieval reenactment stuff, and he works for the BBC. And he was talking about basically like the Urukai swords, and there is like a version of it in real world medieval history, and it was before spiked maces and things like that became the weapon of choice for dealing with people who are wearing heavy armor. It was just the kind of a machete to cut through plate armor, which seems very appealing and kind of fitting as well, that like a sword of war would kind of just deal with any kind of armor. It's just going to fit, you know, it's just going to work in any kind of combat. Right. This is going to be chunky. Let's do a nice demonic looking curve here.
Apocalyptic Moth says, there's an enchantment in my world that can make it so once a dagger enters a body it disintegrates. This makes assassinations much cleaner.
That's a really cool idea. I like that a lot.
Get rid of the evidence.
Yeah. Someone was suggesting the other day that using like an ice spike spell of some kind, so that the ice melts in someone's body once you've killed them, is a really good idea for D&D assassins.
Mary says, nope, no gaming for her for a while. Sorry about that, Mary. However, ES Laval is DM tomorrow over Discord.
Oh, nice.
Great. Jack is playing a game tomorrow and he played one yesterday.
Good for you. Well done.
Ethan is playing tomorrow as well over Discord, since everyone's too paranoid about gatherings. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's...
Yeah, we're in the same boat sort of thing. It's justifiable fears. Probably not a good idea to meet up with everybody.
Dino Bookie says, I've got my second session tomorrow of a new campaign where I'm playtesting a homebrew class that I made called a duelist.
Oh, nice.
So
okay.
Definitely tell us about that.
Yeah, for sure. What can your duelist do? I have to say, like, one of my favourite classes that I've ever played in a computer game was a magical duelist, the Mesmer in Guild Wars 2. I really, really loved that.
And Jack says, tomorrow's game is going to be a weird and fun challenge. The players are going to basically be participating in a blood sport version of football or soccer.
That's cool. While I'm not a fan of football myself, actually, you're talking about like American football as well?
He's
Soccer. Yeah, you did say soccer.
Soccer in the US.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of many sports, to be honest. I do love the idea of making, like, ever since I heard the phrase fantasy football, I got way too excited about the concept of it being fantasy football.
DM says that they're working on their own setting, making cool subclasses for the main classes of the game.
Ooh.
Right now, he's only missing the Hazard Maker Rogue and the Evolution Circle Druid.
That's cool. That's a really nice idea. I'm a big fan of that as well. I think, like, I've spent ages making these little booklets for my players, and I don't think a single one of them is using a main traditional subclass at all, which is really frustrating after making everything. But it's still really fun to make everything. So, how are you doing?
It looks like my internet has died.
Oh no!
Maybe have a look on your phone.
It's my internet. Okay, can everyone still see what's going on? Bella, are you barking, pal?
She is now.
Yeah. Letting us know what's going on.
Right, where were we with the comments then? I'm quite behind now. Okay. Okay, Apocalyptic Moth says people used to forge bone chips in their iron. They thought this would imbue the blades with the souls of those bones.
Ooh.
The carbon of the bones reacted with the iron, making a primitive version of steel.
No way!
That's pretty badass.
That's amazing. That's such a cool little fact. I like that. Especially, I'm going very soul-based in my Sword of War here.
So Yart says, I have several effects of my version of the Sword of War.
Okay.
If they fail a natural 20 wisdom saving throw, 1 to 4 the player dies because their muscles expand so fast that they just go pop.
Oh my god, Yorick! What are you making me draw here?
And we've got Ragnarok joining us again.
Oh, nice to see you, Ragnarok.
In my world there's a bow called the Twilight Shot that's a bow that during the day shoots arrow of pure sunlight that deals fire damage during the day and moonlight at night.
Oh, that
deals
sounds amazing.
damage.
I
That's
love
cool.
the idea of that. That sounds really cool.
York continues, 5 to 10 they roll 1 d100 on specialised madness table.
Very cool.
11 to 16 they can inspire everything they touch to fight for no reason other than to fight.
Nice.
7 to 20 the player immediately shoots up to level 20 berserker, hulks out and fights everything that moves. Wow.
Wow, okay.
Oh, we've got a little moth joining us as well. Hello.
Nice to see you, little moth.
Oh, Bella.
Bella, come on, pal. Why don't you come here? If you're getting scared. Honestly.
Ragnarok says, I've been so bored that I've invented a blood hunter and warlock subclasses Order of the Night.
Ooh, very cool.
For BH.
BH.
We're not very good at acronyms, guys.
Yeah.
And Pact of the Dragon for warlock.
Nice. Very, very cool. I feel like Pact of the Dragon should definitely be in the game, and I'm quite surprised why it's not. I tend to just use like the Infernal Pact for something along those lines, but there's so many elements that someone could be.
So we've taken a dark turn.
Oh dear. Have you let Yorick speak again?
Jack is replying to Apocalyptic Moth about his bone sword.
Alright.
Reminds me of that one Reddit thread. How much blood would it take to forge a sword? I think the verdict was something like 300 plus people worth of blood.
Oh my god, that's so horrible.
So disturbing. Is that to get the iron out of the blood?
Oh yeah. Oh man, that is so grim. But yeah, I mean, I suppose yeah, you couldn't you? And that is horrendous. Maybe that's how you make the Sword of War. Maybe that's how you make this thing. Ugh. Forged from a bloody conflict.
Vinicius says, when you use did you use a mythological reference for designing this weapon?
I did not, but is there something that it looks like? Because we could incorporate it into the lore of this thing.
Apocalyptic Moth says,
That's a really cool idea.
Eternal Sunshine is one of my favourite films, so if you could work that into
yeah, for sure.
the game, that's pretty cool.
I had a gambling game that you guys could play that like took memories away.
Oh yeah.
Which was really fun because I
That got weird.
I like gambling being in my games, but I have been burned so many times by my players coming up with like ways to cheat around it that I think like the first time I ever did it, one of my current players basically just made himself ridiculously rich. So I decided that instead of money, you could gamble with memories, and like the more valuable a memory that you choose to lose, the more it was worth. Like something that was more sentimentally valuable, and you gain all the memories of the people who also lose that hand, if that makes sense. Which was really, really fun because it's a really good way of, like, if you can find like a noble who you're trying to rob as a party or something like that, and you can get them to gamble away a memory that involves like their home or something, then yeah, you're on an easy street for getting a map of that person's home or something, you know.
We've got another cool suggestion here
Oh, yeah?
for a weapon. Ace says the staff of Amilary spheres, I think.
Ooh.
It's cursed where the staff changes elements based on the caster's moods
Ooh,
and can cause damage to everyone around if the emotion is negative.
that's
Like,
really
you
cool.
are a fan of a mood ring.
I am a fan of a mood ring. I love mood rings, and we hadn't been able to find one for my chunky hands for for most of my life, and then we found one on the honeymoon, which was really nice.
Oh, could I borrow your charger?
Yeah.
Your cord for a wee bit?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Just the phone's dead.
Yeah, no worries. I'm on 97%, so I should be okay for a
Okay.
while. You do you, basically.
Yes, Laval says, I want to put the black memory stone from the realm of the Elderlings in their campaign.
Ooh,
Are you familiar with that?
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, tell us about that then.
Yeah.
Jack says, I wrote a gambling game based on the Royal Game of which is said to be the
yes.
first board game in history. It's so fun that occasionally me and my friends play it outside of D&D. That's cool. That's a good sign of a
Yeah.
good in-game
I bought
game.
Joe the Royal Game of for his birthday because he's a big fan of
Yeah, I remember
board
that.
games. Yeah, that was really, really fun.
Oh,
really
Devon's joined us as well. Hi. Vinicius says King Arthur wielded a mystical dagger which grants the user a manipulation of the shadow dimensions and darkness physical manifestations. Shadow dimensions and darkness physical manifestations.
Damn. That sounds really cool, and I had no idea. That's really, really cool.
Mary says that although it's not a magical weapon, I made up one that combines a halberd with 3 long, sharp claws atop instead of a spike, which is cool, with a
Nice.
katana blade in the end that can be snapped out like a switchblade.
Oh, that's so cool. That's kind of Bloodborne-y as well. Like I
Yeah.
love all the mechanisms and things like that. That's a really cool one, Mary. Sorry, did you say that was Mary DeYoung?
Yep, that was
Yeah,
Mary.
yeah.
Apocalyptic Moth, what do you think about immovable rod being used as an anchor for airships?
I love everything immovable. We should probably draw the immovable rod, although that's not like a very complicated thing to draw.
Just
It's yeah,
a sphere.
yeah, just like a stick or something, but like
I've always wanted to come across. Actually, I think my first character got an immovable rod
did they?
because I talked so much about it.
Oh really? No way. Oh, man, I wish we'd kept them alive for longer because that is one of the coolest items in the game actually. What's your favourite? I mean, talking to the group here, like what, and you know, obviously. What's your favourite magic item that is like in the official books? In terms of like, maybe what's your most like essential dungeoneering one aside from the bag of holding, which everybody needs in like a party, but like rod of the immovable rod sort of style. Like, what's your favourite go-to item from the books?
Okay, just catch you up on some comments.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Yeah, so
That's so cool. I love that so much.
DM says, I have a cool item that all the players will have in my setting, but only one per player. Those are crystals that turn into vehicles that have cool abilities to and secret powers that will appear as they grow.
That's awesome.
Jack says,
Do follow the odd person on Twitter though, so make sure that I'm talking about the right thing before I before I explode into if it is the Crit Fail podcast, I listened to your recommendation. You recommended that I start at episode.
Colby,
Colby Monroe could be. I don't know. I have a terrible memory, guys. So you need to to refresh me.
Yeah, it's hard to with the names across different platforms.
Yeah.
Yes, Laval says, if you make a statue and put all your memories in it, then it will come to life and basically be a reincarnation, but only temporarily.
Ooh, that's cool. Sort of like a demi-clone spell.
York says, the Realm Casket, a god's children's toy, containing an entire Minecraft-sized realm in it, a rather cheap but ultimately amusing thing by gods, but very highly valued by mortals.
That's a really cool idea. Kind of reminds me of like the Fruity Land episode of Rick and Morty as well. Obviously not that dark. Don't look into it too much.
Mary says Cloak of Displacement.
Yeah.
Ace says Rope of Stars is always his go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Jack says, as a PC, I turned an immovable rod into a javelin.
Ooh.
With a few in-game.
Grim.
I can see a lot of uses for that.
Oh yeah. The game, weirdly, I don't know why, they've been playing with you for years now. Can I talk about your shameful but really, really exciting sugar-based experiments?
Yeah, you can.
Is that okay? So like, Yvonne's really creative when it comes to characters and combat, and she almost never plays like combat-centric characters. Usually finding like a character that is like not combat-based at all. And I think most of the reason why is because when you get into combat, you're the most vicious MF that I've seen in any role-playing campaign. There was a bit talking.
Bella!
Should I go and grab Bella very quickly?
Yeah, lock her at the living room.
Yeah.
There's something deeply upsetting in the living room, obviously.
Bella, come on, buddy. Come on, in you go. Come on.
Oh yeah, Jack is from the Crit Fail podcast too.
Okay.
Let's go.
Nice.
Alright, Bella.
Sweet.
What's your problem?
What else, Bella?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, nice.
Do you want me to read some comments?
Yeah, please, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be good.
Yes.
Ooh, that's very cool. I like that idea a lot.
Oh, Patrick Walsh is joining us. Hi.
Nice to see you, Patrick. Thank you for coming.
Devin says, how about a cavalry sword for the design? I mean, it belongs to one of the four horsemen after all.
Oh.
How's the health? We're both really good.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're keeping ourselves well.
Yeah, we're staying in, taking advice, staying in. Josh obviously works from home most of the time anyway, and my college is cancelled, so
yeah.
Yeah, we're in, but we're both very well, thank you. Hope everyone else listening is good.
Yeah. Keeping safe.
Vanessa says, I came to this stream late, so what's the basis for your weapon design and the thematical origin? Okay,
so we are, just to fill everybody in, we are drawing the Sword of War. This is one of Yorick's concepts. And from the lore stream the other day, I mentioned that I like to keep my devils in various houses, and those houses are themed on the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So I thought I could tie this into my own world building, slightly selfishly, and make the Sword of War here based on Yorick's suggestion. So we're kind of coming up with what it can do, and I'm making a horrible kind of fleshy, eyebally, deathy Sword of Doom, and it's really big and chunky, but I like the idea of it being like, this is the size of a Goliath kind of thing. This is a huge weapon that would be absolutely enormous and very cumbersome to pick up. So you have to be someone with a lot of rage in their heart. There's definitely like a barbarian weapon or something along those lines.
DM says, it's bad taste to make a warlock patron called the Devourer that gives you, instead of the Pact of the Blade, another option with a small buff that instead of a common weapon is a giant cooking tool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Jack says it's very Final Fantasy. It does look very
Final
Fantasy with chunky swords.
Yeah, big chunky swords.
Like a Buster sword, he says.
Oh yeah, I'm not super familiar with, despite the character that I drew the other day being like the most Final Fantasy thing ever. I'm actually not very familiar with the Final Fantasy games. So I think, is the Buster Sword like the kind of gunblade things that they have, like the big chunky gun, like swords with guns in? I think maybe. I'm actually like not very well versed in anime and stuff, weirdly. Despite definitely like the fandoms of things that I've loved over the years, like having cross sections with those for the most part. So yeah, clue me in if that's. It's a very heavy sword though. That's what we're going for. So.
Devin says, no, that's the Cloud's sword.
Oh, right, okay.
Mary says, how about a +2 cast iron skillet? Not only can you cook with it, it makes a handy, deadly weapon.
Okay, so like I said, we're pretty obsessed with the States, and we're pretty obsessed with the South in particular. Our kind of go-to place whenever we get a chance to like save up and go to America is to go to Nashville, because we love all the country music, we love dancing, and just like it's a very vibrant, very colourful place to go to, right? And I am a huge fan of cooking. I've always been, out of the two of us, like I'm a big cook. Well, I mean, both physically a big person and also a cook. And I like very, very unhealthy food, right? So I'd always wanted to try out cooking with a cast iron skillet, which is just something that you don't tend to see out here in the UK too much. And then one birthday or Christmas or something like that, my mum, who is also a big fan of cooking, got for me a set of cast iron skillets. And I don't know what I was expecting from the phrase cast iron skillet, but I was not expecting something that I'd have to make a strength check to pick up. Like that, those things are weapons, and they're amazing. I love cooking with them. I almost never use anything else if I can help it. But they, my God, they are beastly. So yeah, I can totally see using a cast iron skillet as a weapon. It is not just a cartoon joke. Like those things could genuinely do some hefty damage.
Ragnarok says that sword looks like it screams with the souls of the damned, and I love it.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Thank you very much.
Apocalyptic Mod says gun knives were an actual historical weapon.
Oh, really?
I recommend looking up some research on it. Actually, my brother and I were very obsessed with a museum when we were children that had a sword that could fire bullets.
No way!
Which, when you're 5, is just the coolest thing.
That's so cool. I do put gun blades in my homebrew world. The kind of the constabulary, the police force essentially have access to them, but nobody else does. So I like the fact they're genuine things.
Jack says Nashville is probably my favourite place to travel to as well.
Oh.
We go there in Hurricane, which is what we in the South call evacuating for a hurricane.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's really cool.
Grant says this sword looks like it would fit in with MCDM's Court of All Flesh from the Strongholds and Followers book.
I'm a huge fan of the Strongholds and Followers book, so I am definitely taking that as a compliment. Thank you very much.
Patrick says, what are your thoughts on the 1980 publication of Deities and Demigods?
Deities and Demigods. You know, I've not actually read the thing itself. But I've had a few Monster Mondays where I've had to research snippets of it, but I found those snippets online, so I don't actually own a copy myself. I like the concept of it though. You know how much I love mythologies of all sorts, so I am big fan in general of mythologies and gods from various different walks of life. Do you have a particular favourite or something that's drawn you to it in specific?
DM mentors, I'm going to show you that text.
What does it say?
I pity the turkey. I pity the turkey that shall be carved with this thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, me too.
I'll put some turkey bones in here somewhere.
I'm just gonna nip out and feed the dogs because.
Oh yeah, good call. That's
Bella
maybe what she was barking about.
Tapping
actually.
my leg.
Hungry girl. Hungry girl.
Right.
Good. Should I squeeze in or should I? Yeah, you're all good. Nice one. I'm during the stream, and then I've gone. I heard the phrase "Sword of War," and now I want to make the most fleshy, horrifying, mega death weapon that I can conceive of. And while it's going to look very cool, I hope it means we might be able to draw more than one thing today. This is also why we're starting a bit early, because last time we got super tired, and with spicy apple juice also being involved. Hopefully I won't fall asleep midstream. But yeah, either way, I'm really enjoying this one. I'm really enjoying this. If you're still in the chat or whatever, maybe we could figure out what this thing can actually do. Because I'm trying to think like basically Black Razor, but more violent than it is death based, if that makes sense. So a Sword of War. What does a Sword of War do? Maybe when Yvonne gets back, she can read some of your comments to me about what this weapon might be able to do. It definitely, I mean, this is a +3 weapon, all right, for sure. And I see this being like, it's hugely overpowered. This is an artifact. Like, this belongs to the House of War of the demonic court. So I feel like this is going to be something absolutely monstrous to deal with. Something that you're going to give to your players as a DM, or like present them the opportunity with, and then regret it for every session afterwards. But it's fun to put into the world lore. I definitely love the idea of I can't remember who said it now. He was saying like the scythe of death, or that sword of death that just literally kills anyone who touches it. So no one can really pick it up. I think that's a fantastic idea. What's the most crazy magic weapon that you guys have ever given to your players or experienced yourself? Because I was fortunate enough to actually use Black Razor in one of my campaigns, and it was just
they can see us. Do you want to come back through here? Or do you want to just sit out next door?
Good?
Yeah, it seems to be.
Hey everybody, so I'm just going to move you next door, I guess.
Probably safer to go next door, yeah.
Yeah, just in case. Right, so let's see if I remove, what's this one connected to? Leave that there. This one. Now I wonder if OBS is going to grab everything at once.
Yeah.
Fully plugged in when I moved it. That'd be why. Just let us know if you can hear us or not. Good. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Test, test, test. Can you guys hear us?
Nope.
No, nothing?
No.
Crumbs.
This is not very nice.
No.
Mind you, there's a lag on it. Oh, sound's back up.
Hey, nice.
Can
Okay,
hear you.
cool, cool, cool. Right. Can you see the screen and everything like that? Just let me know if there's anything that you can't see or you can't hear, and we can.
We're back. We're back,
Nice
guys.
one. Nice one.
Jack says you should probably just sing for us to be sure.
I don't think you want to hear me sing. I speak in a robotic monotone. I don't think you want to hear me hear what comes out when I try and be tuneful.
We're good, right? We're back on track.
Okay, good stuff. Nice one. Well, I'm glad you're all here, guys. I'm glad you're all being very patient with us as well while we try and figure this out. It's a shame that these videos have come about from the circumstances of having to be like locked indoors and stuff. I hope you're getting some entertainment out of them, and I'm hoping your time being locked in from COVID is not so bad.
We're getting some good compliments in the house.
Oh, are we?
Apocalyptic Moth is liking the backsplash.
Ah, nice. Okay, yeah. That's some high quality backsplash right there. Definitely wasn't on a 2-for-1 from Tiles Direct.
Okay, York says I've got 2 possible abilities.
Cool.
1, to create a gargantuan sized shockwave by plunging it into the ground. That's
Well, that's tickling my Overwatch muscle. That's seeming very Reinhardt.
a cool visual effect as
Yeah,
well.
very tempted by that.
2, to create a spirit bomb of daggers and swords.
Ooh, that's cool. Bunch of magical daggers and swords sounds like a real cool.
Oh yeah, I missed a lot of chat. Hang on,
Alright, okay.
back to the Group says what's been drawn. Oh right, so that must have been where we dropped out.
Oh
then.
right, okay. So hang on. So if you want to see what I've been doing so far, I don't know what you have and have not seen. I'm just doing the line work for this horrific sword of war that was Yorick's concept, and is going to be a horrible meaty blade of death.
Grant says the Sword of War deals damage every round if it's not in contact with an enemy that's dealing damage to the wielder.
Ooh. Oh, okay. I like that idea. I like artifacts with consequences. Not that there's many artifacts that don't have consequences, but I like them being quite severe for the level of power.
Mary says, here's another gem weapon.
Ooh, oh, nice.
A solid diamond rod that becomes any bladed melee weapon the wielder wants it for combat. The one drawback is that the item is stolen from a war deity and he wants it back.
Oh, that's very cool. You know, I like anything Crystal Gem related. I'm a huge Steven Universe fan, and although I'm a bit behind, I love that aesthetic so much. So you know, that's already my vote for the next item we do. By the way,
Jack was asking York to tell him more about the explosive gas rapier, and let me see if I can find the reply there. Yep, it had a series of holes in its side and an inbuilt lighter to cause a spark, and casted things in general are of 10 feet to explode. Sorry, I'm not reading that very well.
It's all good. It's all good. Am I the only one who's slightly concerned that Yorick might be a legitimate supervillain? Because all of his suggestions have been so dark.
Yeah, what's your alignment? Or
Yeah. Can anyone make a wisdom check to see if we can figure out what alignment Yorick is? Because I'm pretty sure all the suggestions have been pretty dark so far, pal. You know I like, but obviously, we just got to check.
Okay, so Goop, if you want to suggest abilities, we can talk over a few options and then we'll maybe vote at the end on what we want to do.
That's
or
a good idea.
Pick a few. Devon says maybe give it the ability to make the multiple enemies to attack each other.
Ooh, I like the whole kind of confusion, inspiring war thing. Maybe it's like a kind of bloodied condition or something like that after you have charged it up with enough kind of violent activity, it causes people to go get aggressive or something.
Jack says that they had a staff of an Eastern-style water dragon, and if they plunged it into a river, they could see everything along the river and its estuaries.
Oh, that's so cool! Like
really
a far-seeing, serpent blade of far-seeing or something like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Makes me think of Rivers of London, the knowledge that each river could have.
Yeah.
Could hold in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me know if you guys start reading Rivers of London, by the way, because I would highly recommend those books. And you know what? Actually, screw that. I would highly recommend the audiobooks. The voice actor that you've got for doing the readings of the audiobooks of Rivers of London, I can't remember what his name is, but he might be one of the best voice actors I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Just so versatile, and his sort of standard voice is amazing, let alone all the other voices that he can do. His range is insane. So
I'll just catch you up because there's quite a lot of comments now.
Yeah, cool.
I think we maybe are getting a few things that were cut off while...
Oh, right, okay.
So,
yep.
DM enters says, let us send the soul of defeated enemies into the limbo to never know rest and still feel the pain of the killing blow for all eternity as a reminder of their regretful defeat.
Oh, boy. That is grim.
Soul destroying there.
Yeah.
Grant says, make the Sword of War emulate the lust for conquest and bloodshed. The user has to eat the raw flesh of a still living enemy 10 times, different enemies, to unlock an ability like Rage.
Oh my god! What is...
Really question your players if they want to.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I want this magic item from the start, please. Yeah.
Jack says, also I could cast control weather and see through all weather effects while it was in it. Oh, that's the staff,
that's the
staff.
much more friendly weapon that we were...
Yorick like Steven Universe as well.
Nice one, Yorick.
Jack says, what are you thinking of the Steven Universe future? I'm having fun with it. But Stephen having anxiety, PTSD and depression is a lot. He needs more hugs.
Yeah, so I've not actually seen that yet. I follow the Steven Universe subreddit, so I've had a lot of kind of like I say spoilers. I've had a lot of advanced warning of how it's going to go. I'm still a decent bit behind. So like in my viewing, Steven has just reached Homeworld. But I'm trying to find where I can watch it basically, because I've seen a few episodes online, but there's not many places that have every episode available. So if you guys have a good source where I can find the rest of Steven Universe, it's not on Netflix in the UK, basically.
Married to Young, there's some speculation on Yorick's alignment here.
Alright, nice.
Neutral evil.
Yeah.
Devin thinks lawful evil. Byron says, take it or leave it, but I think you should have that sword do 2d12 slashing damage on its victims. What do you reckon?
I think that sounds very fair. It's a hefty blade. If this is not a blade, this is a Yorick weapon, so if it's not a blade designed for giants to wield it, I don't know what it is.
Gip says maybe it could switch between different modes inspired by the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Ooh,
I like that.
That sounds very cool. I like that.
I'm gonna have to be careful how I say this, right? Yorick says, how about it can cause warp spasms like the Twean from the Irish myth?
I don't know that.
Oh, let us know about that, Yorick.
Yeah.
He said you could also do bleed stacks. For every stack of bleeding, it deals a d4 per stack.
Can I just say that is a fellow World of Warcraft player, if I've ever heard one. Like bleed as a status condition that you deal up in stacks. Like that is somebody else that's someone who's played Rogue, no less. So yes, I'm down for that. Any kind of World of Warcraft reference that you can get a hold of, I'm down for.
Ragnarok says, when the sword has felt enough rage and hatred, it brings forth the Balor.
Oh my god! Yeah, I haven't done a Monster Monday on Balor.
No, I don't know the Balor.
But do you remember the Balrog from Lord of the Rings? Like, it's basically that, but...
Oh.
What did I do? I did the Pit Fiend, and it's the demon equivalent of a Pit Fiend.
Jack says he can drop you a shady link on Twitter. You should have an ad blocker.
I do have an ad blocker, so yeah, that's all good. Thank you very much for that.
Grant says his sword could have burning down buildings as an unlock as well.
Oh yes! Oh my god! Yeah, you know what? Like things like the Tarask and the Kraken and stuff like that have the ability to deal double damage to buildings, and I feel like there should be something that allows you to have that. Like the belt, one of the belts of giant strength should definitely allow you to do that. Why is that not a thing? Because A, how much damage are you going to deal, and B, like even if you're doing like quite a lot of damage, doing twice as much damage to objects seems like something that a DM is not going to have too many problems with. I think that should just be standard.
Apocalyptic Moth says, okay, I have to say that it looks like that sword would deal more bludgeoning damage than slashing.
Yeah.
It's chunky.
It is chunky. It is chunky. Maybe the edge is magical. Maybe that's the... your rage, your cutting rage is the thing that deals slashing damage in this.
Yorick says it's pronounced Kukulan.
Kukulan, okay.
Kukulan. So...
Yeah.
Do you know that one?
I don't. But this is the thing.
Not on our Irish folklore.
No, like Piper from the World Forge podcast told me, like when I was first on there, said like, oh, have you heard of my favorite mythological creature, the puka? As in like, oh yeah, of course I should have heard of that. Being from the British Isles, and it was like one of those moments of true British shame to not know at all what that is. But Irish folklore, I'm really not well versed on, and I feel like one day when the Banshee comes up, I will start researching into Irish mythology. And personally, foolishly, I had assumed that there would be a lot of connections between Irish and Scottish folklore, but so far I'm finding whenever someone mentions something from Irish folklore, I have no idea what the hell it is. When it comes to Scottish folklore, I'm like much better versed. So I don't know how there could be such a difference in such close-knit cultures. So yeah, I'm miles away, but I would love to hear more.
Goop says, if you go with the horseman thing, maybe each mode could have a negative effect unique to it, like war, something like a berserker axe, pestilence, 2d6 necrotic damage to everyone within 10 feet.
Nice. I love that. I love auras as well. That's a good idea.
That's to be continued, that message. Grant says maybe it deals thunder damage as all those faces scream.
Yes.
That'll be metal.
That is metal AF. Let's get that on the go for sure. His horrible flesh mouth chomp on you. I have to say, I actually haven't seen what you're drawing, so I'm getting a really weird. Are you not? Yeah. So okay. I mean,
I'm
you
looking
come
at
around
it on
and
my
have a
phone.
look.
I can't.
Oh yeah,
see
of course. There's a lot of teeth, basically. You guys know how much fun I had doing the gibbering mouther video, and that's pretty much whenever I'm drawing something for my players, as like, oh, there's this horrific thing. How horrific is it? And then I draw basically all the teeth.
You like to go full Cronenberg with
I do like to go full Cronenberg with my D&D monsters. So yeah.
Jack has sent you a DM with some links.
Thank you very much.
Nudge, wink, wink.
Thank you very much. I love how suspect that sounds, but in reality, it's about Steven Universe, so it's very pure.
Yorick says a warp spasm causes your muscles to bulge, one eye to be sucked in and one popped out, and your hair to become jagged spikes that pierce flesh.
Oh my god, Yorick!
Oh.
You have read some dark material, man. That is, yeah. Like, just bearing in mind, right, Yorick is one of my patrons over on Patreon, right? Now, I chat to Yorick every single month. He's on the Patreon pledge where we get to have a conversation every month. And when I talk to him, he's a lovely guy. Like, we talk about really nice things and we talk about cool things. And there's like hints of this. Oh yeah, no, I'm really evil to my players as a DM, and we laugh and we chuckle and what have you. And then this comes out about like warp spasms and stuff. And now I know why your players are afraid of you, Yorick. This is so dark.
Group says, it continues, including the wielder, death, that's finishing, right, let me read these together. If you go with the horseman thing, then maybe each mode could have a negative effect to it. War, something like a berserker, axe, pestilence, 2d6 necrotic damage to everyone within 10 feet, including the wielder.
Nice.
Death, you cannot be resurrected once you have attuned, but neither can anything be killed by the blade. And famine, 20 feet, no creature can regain hit points.
Oh, that's so cool.
I think the four horsemen thing is definitely a must.
Yeah. I think that's really cool.
If you can hear a bell in the background, that's because we stupidly taught our dog to ring a bell when she wants to go outside. Supposedly for the bathroom, but now she just rings the bell constantly because she wants to go outside.
So our dog has actually trained us to come to her whenever she wants
to open the door for her.
Because she comes through and like, oh yeah, you're not looking at me, so I'm just going to ring the bell.
Devin says, or psychic damage to represent the target going mad with each strike.
That's cool.
Group says, if you don't go with the horseman thing, it would be cool if everything killed by the blade turns into a gibbering mouther under the wielder's control.
Oh my god, yeah, lots of gibbering mouthers. Let's get those on the go.
Oh, yes, Laval says, I've forgotten how to say it again. Please draw the Kukulin mid-warp gasm.
Oh man, I just want to let you know that like all of these videos have been partially demonetized by YouTube because of what we talk about and what the content is, and I just feel like this is going to be completely demonetized already. There's so much meat chat in these.
Grant says, in my game, the PCs meet the Tooth Fairy.
Oh, nice.
In the Shadowfell, she was a hag.
Nice.
She used teeth as currency. Now my player characters collect teeth all the time just in case. They would love this thing. They'd be rich.
Oh man, yeah. There's a lot of teeth in this.
He says, I think the Lich King's Frostmourne cowers in fear in comparison to this weapon before us.
I do own a Frostmourne, which is the most beautiful and ugly thing that I own in the house.
Jack says, have you seen the one of the that one video of a linguist who has made buttons for a dog? Yes, we could never do that with Myrtle.
What's this?
You see the lady who like has buttons that are programmed with different words.
Oh god.
And her dog, it presses it and says food.
Oh yeah.
Plate, outside, water. Myrtle would just be like food.
Yeah, she's so food motivated, honestly.
Curse you, YouTube. Devin, have we disconnected again?
Oh, have we?
No, I don't know. Devin just says curse you, YouTube, which could just be a general statement.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, that's because of your demonetization.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
No,
guys, there's a bit of a delay between us talking and me reading these messages.
Yeah, that's all good. I mean, like, in fairness, I can totally understand why most advertisers would not be comfortable with supporting a giant flesh sword covered in eyes and teeth. So, you know, it's a very niche market.
Ragnarok says, I can imagine the sword having a very silk-like voice. Do you want to do your best silky, evil voice?
Oh, what should I say in my silky, evil voice?
Are you ready for warp?
Are you ready?
What is it?
Are you ready for... Oh, the warpgasm.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so grim. Are you ready for a warpgasm?
This feels dirty.
I feel bad.
Wash this channel.
Yeah,
now.
we can have get the YouTube soap out and.
If we're Apocalyptic Moss says, what do you think about good aligned undead? Can you have some examples of what comes to mind?
Mm-hmm.
Mary D. Young says, Moth, I think those are arch liches that are of good alignment, which I think's
cool.
a good call.
Yeah, I love good aligned undead. I love the idea of my players playing undead, mostly because I would enjoy playing an undead. Because you've seen my old characters. I'm edgy as hell.
Yes, so the Val says thanks. I hate it to your silky voice.
Very true. Fair dues.
Oh, I'm gonna have to let Myrtle.
I'll go for it. Yeah, she's all good. Don't think there's anything for her to bark at out there. So
yeah, we heard you. In that
she has such massive googly eyes. They're very hard to resist. As soon as she can convince you to turn around and look at her, you're done for. You have to do what she says. So, I'm talking about Myrtle here, not Yvonne. Drawing a meat blade. This is so meaty.
Grant says Motorhead's Orgasmatron would be a great soundtrack to this song.
Oh my god! You know what? I don't.
Gnome's just joined us. Noam, what are we drawing? Do you want to catch
I'll
them up?
have a little zoom out here and talk about what we're drawing in just a second. So, fit on screen. There we go. We are drawing the Sword of War. So this is a very, very fleshy blade covered in teeth and skulls and evil. It's a demonic sword, which is like an artifact level sword of the devilish House of War. And it's absolutely massive. So I'm kind of assuming that this is like a two-handed weapon that a Goliath would struggle to wield. So, hope you enjoy. We're drawing magic items.
Yes, Laval has just boiled it down to us.
Oh yeah.
For us, meat blade so meaty.
Meat blade so meaty. Yes.
Group says, sorry. Apocalyptic Moth says, what's your opinion of real world human recycling?
Real world human recycling?
I'm guessing body parts.
Oh right, no, I mean like as in organ donation. Yeah, as soon as I
thinking in terms of weapons.
Oh god.
Maybe you could clear up what you mean by that.
Yeah, so in terms of organ donation, I think that's a brilliant idea, and I am fully prepared as soon as I kick the bucket for doctors to basically tuck in and use whatever they think is useful. But aside from using it as weapons, maybe go and see a different kind of doctor about using human parts as weapons, you know?
Group says, what if the sword could allow you to cast greater steed, except with nightmares once per...
That sounds very fitting. Sounds very fitting.
To your...
I'm so excited about Monday for when the nightmare video goes live, because it's going to be really good. I feel like we've had so much nightmare chat in the past little while that I feel like I really want to talk to you guys about nightmares, but obviously the video is not live yet, so we'll see my interpretation pretty soon.
Yorks made a suggestion for a YouTube channel about mythology and fiction.
I would love that.
Which is the Smite video game.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Love Smite. I've never played it, but I followed that avidly for a very long time, so I'd be well up for One up for that.
What if part of the blade you had to make meat puns as you swing it?
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I definitely like that.
I can't literally think of a single meat pun right now. I was like, come on.
Come on, I've got beef with you. Come on.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you can, come on. You gotta come up with one before the end of the stream.
Okay.
Also, is Bella still out in the back garden?
No.
Because it is freezing out there.
I'm going to shut the door. I like the idea that the Sword of War is made of something similar to a mimic.
Ooh.
So it shifts around, extending to gain reach and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the idea of it, with it being like a weapon of war, and war being a war master, not just a like destruction engine, that it would be able to mimic maybe any weapon. So you could have like firearms and things as time goes on and civilization develops, all this kind of stuff.
I quite like the idea that maybe the sword is a twin sword, so there's an identical sword, but perhaps it goes, instead of war, maybe casts rainbows and marshmallows.
Still covered in skulls.
But it looks like that.
Yeah.
You pick it up and then it, it casts.
Like all you hear is that kind of da-da-da-da-da-da-da,
I've got
like
a bone
Doom
to pick
music.
with you.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You've got it.
What happens if the Sword of War just chants sausages?
I feel like that's the sword that one of my dogs would own.
Apocalyptic Moss says, I'm talking about organ donation, fertilizer, and possibly construction.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, right,
yeah,
okay.
No, yeah, I'm totally on board. Yes, organ donation and fertilizer, yes.
I quite like the idea of body farms, actually, where it can be used for useful things, except for the fact that it'd be really upsetting to your relatives, I think.
Yes. But I really like the idea of like going and visiting a tree that has been planted because someone has passed away, rather than going to a tombstone, is quite a friendly idea.
Get lots of messages in. Jack says, I was thinking the idea for it to replicate other weapons as well, potentially being able to become armor.
Ooh, that's cool. Or maybe like Venom or something like that from Marvel Comics, like it's a suit, and you could make yourself more like, you know what? What the name of those games, like free roaming games where you had kind of it's not Parasite, what's it called? Someone will know what I'm talking about. The kind of games that like you are a contagious virus like guy, and you can form weapons and suits out of your horrible virusy flesh. God, it was really cool though. We've got
Mere Dinner. I just realised the sword would be great for killing vampires. Stake through the heart. Why have I not thought of a single one?
You can have inspiration point for that. There we go.
Group says it's a twin weapon you mentioned could be a shield of sorts called the Bulwark of Peace.
Yes, I love that. And we can maybe tie that into like Ares and Athena. Because she was a big shield fan, although she was also a spear fan. But very cool. I like it very much.
Yorick says, I'm not liking this perception of me as some sort of Doctor Doom-esque figure. I mean, I only made the Horseman multiverse spanning Dormammu like beings who have a single purpose to destroy everything. Yeah, I mean
that sounds like something that someone who's totally not a super villain would do, Yorick. Yeah, so let's just all keep an eye out for Yorick, just in case he's a super villain. The evidence is still mounting. He seems so polite when we chat, man. He seems so nice. And I just didn't know. I did know. There were signs. There were signs that you were a supervillain the whole time. I've just not paid enough attention. Okay. Metal, you having a little bark outside?
Grant says, the hardest part of making magic items is coming up with cool names like Dire Vanquisher.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Grant, are you based in Scotland as well? I noticed that you said I.
Oh yeah.
In one of the comments.
I do know a Grant actually. It could be.
Because So I think Ragnarok is in Scotland as well.
Oh,
So
yeah,
a
we can have a
couple
little
of Scottish
community.
people. This is for the Scots.
Same with my apple juice. It's very Scottish.
Jack says, I think most DMs are secretly supervillains at heart. Yes, I agree. Grants from Orkney. Hey.
Oh, nice.
Hope you guys are all good up there. Jack says, given an event that gave the population superpowers, if you surveyed the people who became supervillains, a lot of them would have been DMs. Yeah, I like that. I like the I don't know if you guys have seen Misfits, the one those of you who are not in the UK. The premise of that is that there's a storm that causes people to have superpowers based on their personality traits.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think you're spot on with the DMs being supervillains.
Yeah, I keep really wanting to run a Mutants and Masterminds campaign based on Misfits and giving people like powers based on their personalities. Like maybe people make the characters first and then like randomly giving them powers that they can then warp and influence as they level up based on their characters' personalities.
Rourke says, now that you mention it, this kind of reminds me of All Black, the Necro Sword from Marvel Comics, aka the first symbiote.
Oh, see, I've missed out on that whole storyline, but I'm glad that we are getting symbiotic with it. Because I know they made a symbiote god at one point, and I was like, I might need to go and pick up comics again. It's been a while. Maybe you can fill me in on that when we have our Patreon chat this month.
My favourite part about Misfits is that only one character even attempts to be a superhero.
Yeah.
I mean, my favourite part is like one of the biggest villains is someone that can control milk.
Yeah.
Which,
they make that
if you haven't
so dark.
seen the TV show, you're probably thinking that's the lamest power, but actually,
yeah, that
is pretty badass over everyone other than vegans.
Yeah, that is like a metagamer, and they have really, really worked through their power.
The rest of them sort of party and stay delinquents. Yeah.
Oh,
Ragnarok says, me and my pals ran a one-shot for Mutants and Masterminds. It's great. I was a hero who could harden his skin into steel.
Nice. That's really cool. I'm really eager to do it. There's like, yeah, I own a lot of books of Mutants and Masterminds. The one thing that really bothers me is that one time I played a campaign of the Hero System, and I really loved it, and you just can't get Hero System books anywhere. And Mutants and Masterminds is the closest approximation, and it's a really good system. But I always have this memory of how good the Hero System was and how much I want to get that back. And I wish I could get a hold of that. But the books, the individual books, and there are so many books, sell for hundreds of pounds now.
Oh, Jojo's with us again.
Hey,
Jojo.
nice to see you, Jojo.
There's a system and a PNP stream of a game called Anime Campaign.
Mm-hmm.
The people have powers based on one random word, soup for example. And they can shoot hot soup.
Oh,
it requires creativity. That's quite cool.
That's a really cool idea. I think one of the other systems that I'm really eager to try is Monster of the Week, for that same reason, that it's so vague and it's so like there's so few rules about it that you have to be creative with how everything works. So yeah.
Do you want to maybe zoom out and show the image and then kind of talk about the different choices you've made in the design? Like
of course. I mean, I'm nearly there doing this kind of outline bit.
Oh, okay, you can do it once you've finished the outline.
Yeah, but yeah, you can see the general picture of what I've got on here, and it's super fleshy. So yeah, Meat Blade.
Jack says, I played the Hero System for the first time a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
It was very fun, but also a lot of maths.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's ruled it out for us.
Yeah, I'm really bad at maths.
We're both really bad at maths.
Everyone always says like, oh, you got to love maths if you're a D&D player, and I'm terrible at it. But thankfully, I get a DM screen that I can hide behind and use my phone to calculate everything. So that's all good. There's a good moment when everyone kind of says like, oh yeah, no, I add 16 to this. That I'm going, yeah, that seems about right, before I'm like tapping everything in my phone to verify.
York says, okay, bad example, but I did give my demon lords a champion fiend each.
Ooh.
Who even ate who are even 8-second only. Oh dear, guys, sorry, I'm terrible at this. I'm like,
all good.
got my phone about an inch from my face as well.
It's alright.
Who are even 8 are second only to their demon lord in terms of power. Thus are stronger than Balors, Pit Fiends, and Molly Jews.
I don't recognise the name of that.
Sorry, I keep butchering your messages.
It's all good. Don't worry. Yikes, though. That's even more powerful than Balor's. Is like that's. Damn, Yorick. You're getting your players keep coming back for D&D. Yeah, like they keep choosing this life. Would you like capture them?
Okigara says in Misfits they show how horrible mind reading would be.
Yeah. Because
it would be really disturbing.
I always think about when people say, "Oh, I'd really love to have super strength," but they never kind of figure that attached to that. Oh, I'd also like to be quite invulnerable, because if you're really strong at punching stuff, but when you punch things, your hand just explodes against the wall. Like I feel like that's one of those things. It needs to have an element of invulnerability to it as well.
Jack says, have we considered renaming the Sword of War to Meatblade? To be honest, you'd be a lot more scared of a BBEG wielding a weapon called Meatblade.
Yeah, this is Meatblade. It turns everything into meat. And
Goop also has a suggestion. Look into the Blades in the Dark system. It's a high scale. Oh, this is one Joe's.
Yeah, Joe's obsessed with this. He keeps telling us to play this. He says I would really, really enjoy it, because I enjoy playing lots of systems and then incorporating some of the elements as homebrew into my campaigns. So, for example, I use sanity and luck from the Call of Cthulhu games in my 5e campaigns, and I think that really enriches them quite a lot. So yeah, apparently, basically my friend Joe, who was my best man at the wedding, and is one of our D&D players, keeps telling me Blades in the Dark, absolutely. So I'm glad we've had some more recommendations for that as well.
Apocalyptic Moth says, I love using immortality as a curse, which I know we disagree on this one. I would find that a terrible curse.
I totally get that. I'm sorry, that was our dishwasher opening.
Ragnarok says the name of this blade should be Meat Lover.
Meat Lover. Yeah, this is the Meat Lovers pizza. Or no, this is the Animal Haters pizza. Oh man. I draw so many Cronenberg monsters.
Grant says DM maths. I count the shape of pips on a D6. As a result, I can count intuitively in shapes. I only learned recently this is not how normal people think about numbers.
Oh, that's really cool.
It says, oh geez, I'm terrible at this. I also do give my demon lords even more powers if they escape into the mortal realm by absorbing all the evil energy across all the planes of existence.
Oh my god, Yorick.
Do you have any PCs left in your game?
So Yorick actually told me that he makes his players roll up a second character in case / when they inevitably die.
Yeah.
So that they're ready for when their characters die straight away.
Okigara says, do you play 3.5 or any Pathfinder edition?
I don't. So I own the original Pathfinder book to go through, but I've never played Pathfinder. I might give Pathfinder 2 a go at some point, but I've never played 3.5. It's weird that kind of totally skipped me over. I played 1st edition, 4th and 5th is where I'm coming from in terms of D&D.
Jack says Josh likes the idea of immortality because he's a DM and he's secretly a villain at heart. Just confirming my theory. I'm beginning to agree with you.
That's not true. I'm a good guy, he says, drawing a meat blade.
Goop says, to Jack, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm particularly fond of the Leech class.
Ooh, Leech class.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Goop?
Yeah.
And Ace says, or name the sword Anduli? Anduli? Like the sausage?
Oh, right, okay. I don't know.
That one. We don't get the house very much.
Yeah, you know what? We're not.
To be fair, we are a vegan and a vegetarian, so
Yeah.
not knowing sausage names is.
I was gonna say, like, I'm the crappiest vegan because every monster I draw is so meat based. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna like immediately guess I'm a vegan from the top.
To be fair, you're not eating the weapons, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay, more sword names from Grant. Corpse Chunk.
Yes, Corpse
Bone
Chunk
Lugger,
works.
the Blood of Ruin, and Chum Scab.
Chum Scab. By the way, that's gonna be an NPC name in my next campaign. Chum Scab is the worst. Oh my god!
I love those names, though, Grant.
That's so grim. Right, hang on, I've missed some connecting lines somewhere in here.
York says, I do recommend a skim through the Beast series. That is where I get pretty much all my homebrew giants from.
Nice. Okay, that's always a good call.
What if the sword had a Norman name like Jim or Carl? That was what I was thinking. Ragnarok. I was thinking Gary because I name everything Gary.
But can you imagine picking up this like apocalyptic blade of doom? It's just like, all right then, my name's Nigel. I'm here for some distraction. Let's go. You know, that kind of thing. Like, in a past life, I was in a box factory and hated it so much that I wanted to destroy all humans.
Okay, Gaia says, yeah, 2E Pathfinder edition is much simpler and less all over the place than 1E.
Okay.
Apocalypse Moth says, in your games and worlds, do you have any more true dragons than just the chromatic and metallic?
So I use the gemstone or crystal dragons as well, and I am a huge fan of them because I'm a big fan of psionic powers. So I definitely do use those, but I haven't had much chance to. So looking forward to getting into them in my next sort of fantasy campaign, if that makes sense.
Ragnarok says, I love the Moss from IT crowd impression. Because Josh usually refuses to do that. He does a great Moss impression and he always refuses to do it. But yeah, he has been compared to vocally to both Richard Ayoade and is it David Mitchell?
David Mitchell, yeah, I get it a lot as well.
Yeah.
Especially when I was younger, I used to have a side parting and everything, like with the exactly the same haircut. So yeah.
Jack is starting a petition to rename it Chum Scab.
Chum Scab, nice.
Devin says, what's your opinion on eating monsters? I personally like the idea and think that red dragons would taste spicy.
I think so too. I'm a big spice fan. You know what, actually, like, this is something else that Yorick has sent me in the past, is like a kind of cooking guide for D&D. And again, although, like I say, I am vegan, I really do love the idea of this because I don't think people should have to do shouldn't operate how I live my life. If they choose to, that's great, but if they don't, fair dues. And so the idea of people using culinary skills to cook monsters and having you could cook a myconid or some sort of myconid monstrosity as well. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So yes, I am up for my players experiencing that side of life.
Okay, I think Grant might have just got this name for this word.
Oh really?
Yeah. Lawrence from Peckham, or Chum Scab, the wrench of all end times, to his mates.
I love it. That's fantastic. Yes, 10 out of 10.
Right. Good. I'm trying to just catch up on your messages here. Leech class, that's what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
They're one of the classes in Blades in the Dark. They're sort of like an apothecary mixed with a mutant.
Ooh.
But my favourite ability of theirs is called Venomous, which allows them to produce poisons and chemicals through either their sweat or spit. The Leech I played ended up like a mob boss who tortured the Mark's guards into becoming Leech minions.
Oh my god, that is horrendous and brilliant, and I'm all about it.
Jack says you can't cook red dragon meat because they're immune to fire. You can only dry it out and eat as jerky.
Yeah, or
That's
sushi.
canon.
You could have sushi. Get on that.
Grant says I once licked a T-Rex bone. It tasted like a rock.
I mean, I'm guessing fossilized. I hope, as opposed to Supposed to cloned. Have you been in Jurassic Park?
Apocalyptic Moth. If you look on D&D and Beyond, you can find the official stats for the Sapphire Dragon and the lore for the rest of the Gem Dragons. It's only $1.99, and most of that goes to charity.
Oh, that's very cool. I will probably check that out, even though I've got the what's it called? The Strongholds and Followers that has something similar. I'm at 38% battery, weirdly.
Oh, I'm
so
just
yeah.
do a wee minute charge.
Could I maybe offer you a different charger?
It's just it won't reach.
Oh yeah, fair dues.
Sorry, we're sharing a charger here.
Yeah. I'll let you know when I get dangerously close because I don't want to run too low.
Devin says, "Do we have a time traveler?"
Like.
I think I've lost the thread here.
Yeah.
You want to let us know about that?
Yes.
Ragnarok says, "What if the sword was a pacifist?"
Oh, I love that idea.
Like, seen the errors of its ways and like decided no more fighting.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Don't judge me.
Yeah, you don't know what a weapon with a soul has been through.
So, I study illustration at college, so I follow a lot of illustration-based things online, and I'm noticing a lot of people and companies are giving out free content at the moment to help people with the isolation. So I'm just wondering if you guys have found any interest in D&D related stuff online. Are people starting to release content to help everyone with the boredom?
Mm-hmm.
That was a bad start to that sentence.
I'm now at like 20%.
Apocalyptic Moth says, "What do you think about artificers giving life to their creations through trapping a soul in it, whether theirs or a victim's?"
Very dark, very, very dark indeed. We've had someone deal with that kind of thing.
Oh my god, yeah, the dad in the backpack.
Yeah, do you want to talk about B-Hop and his horrendous life?
Yeah, well, so B-Hop was a gnome character.
Mm-hmm.
We met early on and he took us to his dad's workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So we met the character's dad, and then how did it come about? The soul of his dad became trapped in his mechanic rucksack that he had, who had been sort of talking to him throughout the game before over time we realised that this was the character's dad.
Yeah.
That was really messed up.
That was super grim.
How did it... Do you remember how it came about? He was trapped
I can't remember how he
Alright, Grant says, "I am a time traveller. I travel forward in the time at the rate of 1 year a year.
Yeah.
But I'm from Orkney, so I'm also from the past. I collect dinosaur fossils as a casual hobby."
Oh,
go.
cute.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Group says, "Counterpoint, what if it is a pacifist but still has an aura of madness that still drives its wielders to violence, having the sword beg anyone who finds it to leave it alone?" Oh my goodness.
That's so good. I really enjoy that. That's a really, really good call.
York says, "In all honesty, it does feel like I'm cursed. Even when my friend took over briefly the last part of my campaign, it ended with 2 deaths by Ankegs."
Oh, Ankegs, yeah. They're grim, actually. They're pretty potent. Have I drawn an ant cake yet?
I don't think so. What do they look like?
They're like kind of insectoid things, giant insectoid things.
I don't think you did.
I don't think I have either. That's really weird. I definitely used them a lot. I find it bizarre that I've not actually.
Jack says, I know it was mentioned a few times earlier that maybe the Sword of War prevents resurrections. Maybe how it does this is by trapping the souls inside it instead of sending them to the afterlife.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's pretty good.
That kind of works with the whole sort of like bits of bone being forged into the steel. It was mentioned earlier.
Very good idea.
Ragnarok says, the first thing that the sword says is, would you mind scratching my nose? It's been itchy for like 400 years.
Aww. I like would you mind as well. Like that's so polite.
Mary says, I have a character who time travels. It's a mental ability of his. He can also bring people from other eras into the 21st century.
Ooh. Very cool.
Oh my goodness. And Kagara says, in Pathfinder 2nd edition playtest, I used to play a catfolk barbarian who only... Oh, sorry, it's jumping about here. Who only used... Where did it go? Who only used his claws and jaws to fight. I was only level 6 and I did 2d10 plus 3 damage per fight.
Oh my
That's
god.
huge.
That's massive. Jeez, eh?
Grant says, I like the sword being a pacifist. It leans into the saying, to secure peace is to prepare for war.
Ooh.
Nice. Getting big Soul Calibur vibes from it.
I've never played Soul Calibur. I know what you're talking about though. I do know. I totally know where of the...
This is good. Goop says, what if every time a soul is trapped in the sword, a new eye appears along its blade?
I love that idea.
Jack, your message has been held for review. I think YouTube's getting weird vibes from some of these messages.
It might be that they've sent a link to something.
No. Jack says, each time you kill someone with the Sword of War, a new face appears in its meat flesh.
Grim. Yeah. Yeah, I can see
why that got flagged.
Oh, yeah.
He says, there's an item I made known as the Sands of Time. It was a legendary item and it allowed the user to go back in time and change one event if they stayed from their original goal. And if they stayed from their original goal. Strayed from the original goal. They are, and then it's to be continued, I imagine. Stuck in the time that they went to.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, no apocalyptic moth. I don't think anyone else is thinking about how the sword would taste.
Oh my god.
I really don't, but you do you. Rorik said also, I don't know if it's true, but apparently the OG Norse myths, Mjolnir was so heavy that lifting it up could rip your arm off.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
Considering implementing it here as well, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think I've heard that because I believe Loki tried to lift the hammer and couldn't for that exact reason. So yeah. Here we go. Just getting some fiendish flamey eye glow going on here. In these many faces. Let's get some other little effects going on. I think if we get some splatter, oh yeah, that's definitely what we're looking for. Maybe that's too much actually. You know what? That is too much. Extra little bits though. There you go. some lovely little fleshy areas here, and I've not separated them. There we go. That's a bit better. A bit better. Some incendiary eyeballs. Why is my laptop not charging at all? So at this rate, we're going to have to end the stream in not too long, because I'm at like 24% battery.
Oh.
It's really not charging at all. How long have we been streaming for?
It doesn't show me the time on my phone actually. Eric says, there was a legendary evil sword I made in a campaign I ran called Lunocus Blade. It was one of the floating hunks of iron, and it could steal the iron from its victim's blood after it killed them.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Eric, I don't know if you were in the if you joined us earlier, but someone was saying that there was a Reddit thread speculating that you would need about 300 people's worth of blood to make a sword. You know, just one of those bits of information that everyone has in the top of their heads. Right, let me catch you up on some of these.
Thank you.
Right, so what is the lore for this weapon? How and why did it get forged? Says Apocalyptic Moth.
Good question.
If you ever think about that, and I'll read you some more. Grant says, I like giving monsters and items theme tunes in my game. That's cool. The Holy Avenger, Holy Driver, the Tarask avatars hail the apocalypse. The latter would work well for this sword too.
Definitely.
Jurassic Park. Yorick.
Yeah.
Yorick says, perhaps in order to lift it, you must have a natural 20 strength to throw to lift it and not have your arms ripped off, and then a natural 20 wisdom saving throw to resist corruption.
Good call.
I like that. Ragnarok says his name is Nigel and he worked in a box factory. I think that's the perfect backstory.
I did say something along those lines earlier on. I can't remember exactly what it was I said.
Jack says, I'm jealous of how organised your layers are. I am so jealous of that as well, Jack. I never name my layers. Like, hats off to Josh, because
thank you.
That's so organised. 1 hour 40, thanks.
1 hour 40. Well, I think I'm done with the blade, by the way.
Wow.
So
okay, so right, you need to come up with the backstory.
Right.
And
Okay. So my thinking is that this was a weapon of, I mean, you know, again, in my head, devils, this is like the kind of archdevil of the domain of war created this weapon as something that would maybe be too tempting for mortals to resist, and maybe it makes them more demonic over time the more that they wield it. So it was something to essentially cause discord, which fuels the devils and might be able to like allow them to eventually carve a hole through realities into the material plane. Is kind of why I imagine this thing would exist. It's so tempting and so powerful that like someone can't resist becoming some sort of despot or absolute demonic horror through wielding it. But yeah, that's my idea for a sword of war through this thing.
Okay, I'll just fill you in on a few of the comments.
Yeah.
Ace says, you hear the screams of agony and crackling of flames as you see a tall figure using dark magics to shape the blade for an insatiable lust for war and conquest. This would be one way to intro the item. That's
definitely
pretty cool. Yeah. Group says, what if when the arms rip off, the sword becomes the creature's arms and cannot be unattuned without a wish spell?
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it like fuses into their flesh or whatever. That's pretty dark.
Body horror there. Apocalyptic Moth says, every time you wield it, you need to give up some of your flesh as an offering to the blade.
Oh, that seems very
like
maybe if you don't deal enough damage per turn, it takes the amount of damage that you're lacking from your HP, so you're incentivized to go berserk and like go into a kind of reckless attack as a barbarian kind of thing. So you gain advantage, other people gain advantage to attack you, so that you have this kind of war-hungry attitude about you, so that you can sate the blade so that it doesn't take life from you. Really encourages players to go all out in combat.
Grant is like summing up some of the chat about this sword
Okay.
nicely for us. Nigel tastes like an old Lorne sausage, and his favourite song is Sausages, Sausages, Sausages by Chum Scab and the Gang.
Perfect. Love it. If you want to just write that song for us, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. So I definitely think the souls trapped in the sword and like an eye forming for every soul that's
I
been
love
trapped.
that
I think
idea.
that's a great detail.
Yeah. Whether the eyes kind of like are little flaming eyes that orbit it, or actually in the meat of the blade, either one of those makes me very happy, and it shouldn't, but it does.
Yeah.
So
And having like each of the eyes be quite clearly belonging to different,
oh yeah, like
so
like
you'd be able to recognise an eye in it.
if like one of your family members or something like that who's wielded the blade had like a particularly well-known like coloration of eye, you'd be able to see them in the blade forevermore.
Somebody, Jack said, what if the weapon is devil itself? And Mary says, usually devils use deception and will have this horrific blade look like any other sword.
Ooh,
this is what a paladin will see when the person wielding it attacks
That's
them.
such a good idea. That's such a good idea. Like, only someone with true sight can see what this thing truly represents. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
So you could have one party member who thinks they're holding like a really
totally like
average,
mundane,
normal sword, and the paladin's just freaking out.
Like, oh my god, why have you touched that? Yeah. That's
Goop
fantastic.
says, what if the sheath is an infernal document that outlines the various curses that it will place on you?
Yeah, and it like unravels and like coils up when you come to sheath the blade again. Like it's all in infernal. It like covers the blade, like wraps it up as soon as you put it away.
And outlines all the various gruesome things that the sword owner will do to your soul when you die.
That's so cool.
Grant says, can you imagine screaming Nothic skulls orbiting the swords?
That's very cool. I love that idea. Yeah.
Oh, Apocalyptic Myth says, the largest eye is the eye of the one that forged the blade.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love it.
Devin says, what if the blade wants to reunite with its original owner, similar to the One Ring, and the acts of violence you enact with the blade draws its owner to it?
Oh yeah, you can feel it. Yeah.
So every time you use it,
you get closer and closer to this thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and by the end you have to have like caused enough carnage to have become worthy of this creature, otherwise it'll slay you on the spot. That kind of thing.
Jack says, by drawing this weapon, you're accepting the terms and conditions of this document.
Oh no! It's the iTunes terms of services all over again.
Michael says, what if this was a throwing weapon? You throw it to your enemy and the blade attached to them and to consume them on its own.
That's cool. That's pretty damn cool. You guys have got some serious imaginations on you.
Yeah. I think you should, write up all the stats for this.
Yeah, definitely.
Go through the comments and make a sheet. We'll put it up on your website.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. I can make an actual weapon out of this based on what you guys have come up with, and just put it on the website for you guys to use, because I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I'm now slightly
horrifying.
scared by you guys. Been talking to you for a few nights now, and you've
This is what it's like in the comment
let
section
it
with a
all
bunch
hang
of
out
DMs.
tonight.
Yeah.
Seen your true colours.
Love it. Oh man, so dark and so grim. But yeah, my battery's about to die, so I'm sorry this is going to be a bit more of a shorter stream, but I think this is something that I'm just going to have to maybe end it there. We've got one magic item done. Maybe I can do some more tomorrow or the next day or something like that, and draw some more or something.
Yeah, we're going to be around with some extra content. Keep everybody
Can do tons of live streams.
entertained.
Yeah, and this is maybe something that I could do more often. Anyway, just like on Fridays or something like that, do like a live stream of magic item workshop where we could literally come up with magic items together, or I could do ones from the book or whatever. Maybe after the COVID-19 thing, but in the meantime, it's been really fun doing these streams with you. I plan to do tons more while we're all in isolation, because again, it's as someone said in my comment section today, it's important to maintain, diminish social isolation, but to maintain individual isolation. Stay in your homes, but there's no need for us to stop chatting to each other and all that kind of stuff, because it's nourishes the soul as much as this weapon will destroy the soul. So yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, folks.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed today's stream. And let me know in the comment section on this video or in the discussion section on my YouTube page what you'd like to see from our next stream, because we're bound to do more. Do as many as we can. We might need some breaks on certain days and so on, but otherwise I think everything's going really, really well. I'm really enjoying this with you guys, so hopefully we can join together as a community and have some fun while we're all in isolation. Anyway, in the meantime, make sure you wash your hands and that you pass your Constitution saving throws to survive COVID-19. And I can't wait to chat with you guys soon. Anyway, for our next live stream. Thank you very much for joining us.
Bye, guys.